Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Before we begin, I just want to remind you that I now have an Etsy page where you can get personal email readings from me. And the link to that Etsy page is going to be in the description box below. So without further ado, let's begin. So the purpose of this reading is to figure out how to make them fall in love with you. So if you have a special person that you're thinking about, a crush, or just someone that you've been eyeing for a really long time and you're trying to figure that out, this reading is for you. So let's start. So we have 3 piles here, as you can see, 1, 2, 3. We have a green crane, a multicolor crane, a green one. I think it has flowers on it, and then we have a yellow crane. So without thinking about it too much, just choose between the 3 piles or the 3 cranes, and I'm going to count down to 10 to give you some time to decide. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so if you've made your decision, I'm going to go right ahead into the first pile, the green crane. And I'm actually just going to move this forward. So I've actually broken this down into 4 parts. So the first part, well, actually it's 3 parts and then just a piece of general advice at the end. So the first part, we're trying to decide, trying to figure out what your sort of, if you have any maybe like twin flame energy with this person, or some possibly some karmic energy of some kind. Let's see. So here we have 9 of staves. So it's actually a 9 of wands. I'm seeing that, and then we have 3 of cups, and then we have temptation. So I'm seeing that there may be a need to really push forward with this person. I mean, you're almost there. That's what 9 of wands or 9 of staves is indicating. You're not far from making this person develop feelings for you. However, I'm seeing that you may need to work on some feminine energy, like growing your feminine energy in some way. And one way you can do that is by hanging out with other groups of women, or if you're a man, you may need to grow a bit more masculine energy, and the way you can do that is by hanging out with or kind of being around other men, other masculine energy people. So yeah, if you're a woman, spend time with your and you can reverse the genders, by the way, but in this case, if you're a woman, really take some time to spend time with your female relatives, your female friends, just people who you can really bond with, really enjoy, like have a wine night, or, if you're not into that, have just like a tea day with your girlfriends, or with your sisters, or just, bonding, female bonding. I think that's really going to create some feminine aura, like this feminine aura that might not have been completely there before. I think that's going to really create like the spark in you or around you. And then we have temptation. So I'm seeing that, to make this person fall in love, I think you're going to have to just kind of use your wiles. Like if you're female, use your feminine wiles. If you're male, then, go ahead and use your charms. Don't be shy about, using what you got, and like working your, if you have great hair, great, body, great, great eyes, like bat those eyelashes, you know what I mean? Just use the charm, use those dimples, whatever you have. That's really gonna, I think, work well with this person. I guess maybe they're the type that, falls easily for looks, which, most people are visual as humans, so I guess that's not that out of the ordinary, but there you go. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. So this is going to kind of, actually, let me put it over. So this is kind of going to reflect on maybe some actions you may need to take, like some more direct, I guess, actions that you may need to take to make this happen. So yeah, I'm seeing that this other person is very emotional. They have very emotional energy about them. So you may actually, whether male or female, make it so that you can really bond with them one-on-one, really connect on a soul level, because they are very emotional and sensitive. Knight of Cups energy. And yeah, we're really getting that you have to create, you might have to be a bit, not aggressive, but a bit forward here with creating that bond, and don't be shy about it. Like, approach them, ask them if they want to, spend one-on-one time together. Maybe make the first move, and that's okay, because it's saying here that that's the first step into kind of opening, kind of getting them out of their shell, because they're very sensitive and emotional, I see here. And let's see what might happen if you take those actions. So I'm seeing here that, this person is very sensitive. It's like they have some Cancerian energy, or maybe some Virgo, either Cancerian or Virgo, or maybe even Scorpio. Just, energy where they have some difficulty opening up to others, possibly because they are so sensitive. So you're probably going to have to work around that in some way, find a healthy balance in order to kind of deal with that. But then it says that once they do open up, once you get them to open up out of their shell, they're basically a goner, because it's going to be a tower moment, and they're just going to topple right over like a falling tower. So that's really interesting. So I guess the key here so far is just to try to get them out of their shell, create that comfortable balance where you feel comfortable getting them out of their shell, and they feel comfortable letting you sort of lead them out of their shell. Okay, so let's look at one last piece of advice here. Okay, so I'm seeing breathe. I guess this is saying, like, don't think about it too much. Don't overanalyze. Don't overthink, because this is actually really, I think this card is indicating that there's some really great compatibility here. Like, if you want to, make the first move, if you feel like doing something, don't think about it too much. Maybe just do it. Just go right ahead and do it. I think the hardest part is maybe getting this person out of their shell, but going back to the first cards, they do fall for charms, so make sure that you use those charms that you got. And also developing that either feminine or masculine energy, that aura, that positive sort of abundant aura around you. So that has been the reading for group 1. So like, comment, subscribe, share if this resonated with you. And I just want to remind you again that I now have an Etsy page where you can get personal email readings from me. And the link to that the link to that Etsy page is going to be in the description box below. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to move on to group 2. So the multicolored deck the multicolored crane with the flowers. Okay, so let's see. So this is first group of cards. It's going to indicate whether you might have some twin flame energy or some kind of karmic energy here. Yeah, this is a really strong, almost like past life, possibly. Like here we see Cleopatra and Caesar. It's almost like maybe you met this person and you felt like, wow, I've known them, or I've met them before, or I feel like I've known them forever, even though you haven't met them that long ago. It's probably because there's some kind of bond here. Maybe both of you might be cat lovers, one or both of you. And there's some energy, there's some playfulness, indicated by the cats. You know how cats love to like play, they're very, very playful. So I'm getting kind of that energy. And then fertility. So yeah, it is a abundant sort of energy. I think that good things can happen when you're together. Like maybe sometimes you notice that when you're together, random like positive things happen around you, or really interesting things. And yeah, the playful energy, I think that's a really good thing. And then we have contemplation. So I think maybe one or both of you may bond over like intellectual pursuits, like maybe you both like either like music, like studying music, or studying something intellectual, something related to the arts, and you both really bond over that. So that's really interesting, because as you know, Cleopatra and Caesar, they were both very intellectual people, and I believe, yeah, they would bond over, you know, like have real conversations, like, and playful banter, witty banter with each other, maybe even philosophical conversations. So that's really interesting. And then we have Ten of Cups, which is, yes, definitely a sign that, like if you look at this card, I mean, there's a tree, there's all this abundant, these cups, and then we have this water. I think this is just a real sign that there is some sort of twin flame energy here. Yeah, I mean, maybe even a possible continuing cycle from a past life experience of some kind. So I wouldn't doubt that. Okay, so next let's figure out what things might you have to do, like more like in a direct way to make this happen. So we have Six of Wands, we have Queen of Coins, and then we have the Hermit. So I'm seeing that you may have to be a bit, not aggressive, but you definitely might have to make the first move. Don't be shy. Just be confident in the fact that you have a lot of chemistry, a lot of intellectual chemistry, and I think that you both can really bond over the fact that you're really ambitious, Queen of Coins, and you really reach for the stars. You're like those kind of people, and you can really bond over that. And also, I think you're both introverts. Yeah, you're definitely both introverts, and that's another thing that you can kind of bond over. Yeah, so both deep thinkers, very ambitious, and I think there's once again some playful energy around that as well. You can have, I think, some really intellectual, maybe even debates. Yeah, really playful energy here. So that's, maybe you should encourage that sort of playful energy. I mean, because you can really bond over that. That can create a lot of interesting energy there. Okay, so let's move on to what will likely happen if you do apply these, or you take these actions. Like, what will happen if you take those actions? I'm seeing here, okay, so Two of Swords, the Emperor, and Page of Pentacles. So I'm seeing that I think that you may not see it now. Like, you may be kind of shy, or you may be like, oh, I don't think this person likes me. But I'm seeing that you should be really confident, because it looks here like this is a no-brainer. Like, there's definitely a bond here. I mean, whether it will last or not, it's definitely a really strong bond. And like I said before, really playful energy. You're both very ambitious, and I think that's what really keeps you can keep you bonded. And then I mean, you're both really ambitious. Maybe you can even likely bond over something that you're both interested in, like maybe it's an extracurricular activity, or maybe you're both part of the debate team, or you're both part of Toastmasters, or both part of some group that's supporting a cause, or like a class, something to do with pursuing some higher knowledge here. That's how you're gonna really hit it off. Yeah, it's really interesting. So let's look at one last piece of advice here. So we have Yang. So this card really symbolizes not being shy. Like before, in one of the previous cards, I mean, it definitely indicated that both of you guys are introverts. So I think one or both of you may have to really, like, don't be shy about just going after this person. Like, don't be shy with being playful. Don't be shy to approach them, you know, maybe even challenge them with a debate or some kind of intellectual or witty banter, because I think that's really the way you're going to bond, and probably bond over some form of like intellectual pursuits here, even though you're both very introverted, it seems. Getting a lot of cat energy, like before, like if you saw, like, you know, you're both introverted, you're both playful, very intellectual, very just very cat-like. I think cat-like energy. Both of you, maybe one or both of you was a Leo. That's some cat-like energy there. Or if not Leo, maybe a fire sign like a Leo, like either Aries or Sagittarius. But yeah, there's some cats here. Yeah, both introverted intellectuals. I don't know, one or both of you is probably going to have to step up, even though, you know, there's some introversion there. So this was the reading for group 2. So like, comment, subscribe, share if this resonated with you. And I just want to remind you again that I now have an Etsy page where you can get personal email readings from me. And the link to that Etsy page is going to be in the description box below. So I'll see you later. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to get straight into group 3, the yellow crane, last but not least. So let's see what we have. So this first group of cards is, the purpose of these cards is to indicate whether there's some twin flame energy or some karmic energy between you guys. So we have wisdom, we have ace of coins, and then we have 7 of coins. Oh, excuse me. So that's Scheherazade. We have ace of coins, and then we have 7 of coins. So I'm seeing that this person may be kind of intimidating, or maybe even a lot intimidating. You know, like the story of Scheherazade, where, you know, there was a king. I mean, it's a little dark, but, you know, there was a king who would murder his wives, I think, after the first night. And then Scheherazade came in and she was like, well, I'm going to give you these really, really great stories with these, you know, amazing cliffhangers at the end. So you can't murder me because you know, the king, she was trying to make the king basically want to figure out what happens next. I guess it's kind of like Game of Thrones, where, you know, if you watch that series, I mean, they always leave you with these amazing cliffhangers at the end, and you're like, I must watch the next episode. Well, that's basically what she pulled on this king. I know, very brief analogy, but so here's ace of coins. So I'm seeing that you may need to, despite being intimidated, don't be afraid to just approach this person, or if there's a way to get close to them, just go ahead and try it. And I think that you will come out, you are going to stand out in some way. And the way that I think you're going to stand out is through your confidence, or not being afraid to impress them with your confidence. I think that's ultimately what it is. But if there is some past life or like twin flame or karmic energy here, it's really hard to say, but I'm seeing that maybe if there was anything like that, yeah, there was sort of a dynamic where the other person was more powerful than you, and you had to really try to impress them in some way. And then it did pay off, 7 of coins, but it's really hard to tell can't really tell just from looking at these cards whether there is some twin flame energy. But if there was any, it would be, yeah, that kind of dynamic. And also, that's the advice that I would give you for that sort of situation. Okay, so moving on, let's move on to the next pile. Actually, I'll leave these here. Maybe need to reference them later. So this is, these cards reflect what direct actions you may need to take to make this connection happen. So we have 10 of Wands, we have 7 of Swords, and 8 of Coins. So I'm seeing that you're likely carrying some baggage with you, maybe from a previous relationship, 10 of Wands. You really need to let that go. And if you feel guilty for moving on, like you feel like, oh, I'm taking too much, like I don't deserve I don't deserve this person. I don't deserve to move on from a previous relationship that might have taken a real emotional toll on you. I mean, this is some baggage. This isn't a little baggage, it's a lot of baggage. And I think there's some guilt here where every time you try to move on, or every time, you feel like you're moving on, you almost feel like, I don't deserve this, like I'm taking too much, basically. But, in reality, ooh, I went out of focus. Hold on one second. Okay, there we go. Excuse me. But in reality, you're not. Yeah, you deserve to move on. Here we have the Eight of Coins, and I think basically what this is indicating is that, yeah, just slowly, try to imagine the possibilities with this person, the progress, make emotional progress, really try to heal from this baggage. In fact, don't just heal from it. I think if I were you, I would just let it go. It's almost like you're carrying this really heavy backpack full of bricks. Just let the bricks go. Like, just literally, let the backpack of bricks slide off your shoulders and then throw it into the ocean. Why not? Because every time you feel guilty for moving on, or like you don't deserve to move on, that's not true. Like, I'm seeing here, there's a lot of progress to be made, a lot of it may require some work, like some emotional work on yourself, but yeah, I mean, it's well worth it. I would just go ahead and do that. Don't doubt that it's going to work out if you do. Moving on in general, whether it's with this person or not, I mean, it looks like something positive, some kind of progress. Eight of Coins means progress is definitely going to ensue. So let's move on to what might happen if you do take these actions. So what might happen if you do take these actions? So I'm seeing Five of Pentacles, Nine of Swords, and Eight of Cauldrons. So what I'm seeing here is that, yeah, I mean, I think in the past you were part of a dynamic that kind of left you sort of feeling beaten down. But this is a card that indicates you moving on from that situation, so that's a really positive thing. Moving on from this really heavy baggage sort of energy. And you know what? I think the guilt, you're going to struggle with a bit of guilt for moving on from a previous relationship. I mean, it could have been last year, it could have been, 5 years ago. I don't know. It could be anything, but you may feel some guilt about moving on for some reason, and the guilt makes you feel kind of helpless, like you feel trapped with the guilt, whether it's subconscious or on a conscious level. I think that's something that you're going to really have to conquer. And then here we have Eight of Cauldrons, but here it looks like you will move on, like you will collect what you have emotionally and move on and make progress, because this is all about moving on to better things, leaving a situation that doesn't serve you anymore. So if you're stuck in that rut of feeling guilty or helpless, like trapped in guilt or trapped in low self-esteem, or just feeling like, oh, I can't move on, you're gonna be able to move on. Just be strong, collect what you have left of your emotional cups, and just go. And like I said, if you're carrying that backpack of these heavy backpack full of these heavy bricks, just let this backpack slide off your shoulders, kick the bag into the ocean. I mean, why not? So last piece of advice here. So we have a leg up. So yeah, I'm seeing that there has been some, with the baggage and everything. But here this card is saying, don't be afraid to rely on other people. Like if you need, to talk to someone who you know, maybe a therapist, a counselor, a close friend who may be good at, you know, listening or giving advice, or even if you're religious, maybe like a spiritual figure of some kind, or maybe even like a mentor, whether that be someone older than you, or maybe, you know, a parent or a grandparent or someone who you just look up to. Don't be afraid to rely on them. Like, don't allow yourself to be trapped in this guilt or this burden, this baggage that you have from the past, because it's definitely not worth it. And it might be worth really talking to somebody about it, because there may be some baggage that you have bottled inside, whether you are conscious of it or not. Maybe they're subconsciously just kind of lingering. So yeah, that's my advice for group 3. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe, share if this resonated with you. And I just want to remind you that I have an Etsy page now where you can get personal email readings from me. And the link to that Etsy page is going to be in the description box below. So yeah, I hope this was helpful. I hope that everyone's staying safe and sane during these times. And I'll see you later. Bye.